Bookish Dragons. It's Stephanie with Ravens and Blots, and today I'm going to be talking about my January 2016 bookish wrap-up. All the books. So much fun. Yay! Alright, so in January I actually read a grand total of 17 books, which completely shocked me because January felt really busy for some reason, and I wasn't expecting to read that much. And so when I started counting up all the books I had read over the month, I realized I had read that many. I'm like, really? I read that many books? I don't remember reading that many books. So that is fun. I also think part of the reason that I read so many, though, is because RYBSATs went on from the 19th through the 25th, and I read 6 books for RYBSATs there. So that was unusual, too. RYBSATs is a readathon that was started by Miranda of Books 101, and basically the goal is to read as much as possible in the week. So I totally did, obviously. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about the ones that I read for RYBSATs first, and then I'm going to go into the other ones I read for January after that. Okay? Okay. So I read these 6 for RYBSATs. Ooh, look at the pretty books. Look at them. They're so pretty. My goal for RYBSATs was to read 5 books, and I read 6, which is great, except for the fact that 2 of these books for RYBSATs were not actually on my original TBR. However, my thought with readathons is if I get a book that's really meh or I really don't care for, I'll set it down and I'll try something else. And so that's kind of what I did with 2 of them. So just to let you know. So the first book that I started off with RYBSATs is The Lost Lake by Sarah Addison. I love this cover. So pretty. This one rated a 4.25 on Goodreads for me. Well, 4, but I put in the comments 4.25. It started off a little bit slower than some of her other books, and I didn't feel the mystery or romance as strongly as I did in some of her other ones, but it's still a really good story. It's very lush, has a lot of really great characters in it. It just, like I said, it started off a little bit slower than what I was expecting, especially for her, so, but I really did like it. It was a good one. The next one that I read for RYBSATs was Strands of Bronze and Gold by Jane Nickerson. This is a retelling of Bluebeard and the legend surrounding him. Unfortunately, I didn't like this book much at all. It rated a 3-star on Goodreads, and I can already hear some people going, but if you didn't like it, then you shouldn't have rated it so high. Let me explain. No, there's too much. Let me sum up. Basically, I enjoyed the story part. I enjoyed the early American Gothic literature because that's kind of how it felt. And I loved the villain in this. Oh my word, the Count, so evil. I loved him. So great. The downfall for this book comes on a dual-edged dagger. The first being the main character, the girl. I didn't like her at all. I felt like she was whiny. I felt like she was inconsistent. I felt like she really didn't know where she stood on a lot of issues, and it really kind of drove me nuts. And the second one is that it had so much stuff going on in it. It had slavery, it had ghosts, it had mystery, it had murder, it had a pastor. There was so much crammed into the story. She could have taken out some of the elements and it would have been a lot tighter and easier to comprehend. That being said, I did enjoy the story. That's the thing. I liked the story and I really did like the villain. I just didn't like the main character much at all, unfortunately. The next one I read was Lord Edward Dies by Agatha Christie, and I gave this a 4.5. This was one of the few Agatha Christie's I haven't actually read, and I read it and I really, really liked it. It's got a lot of double blinds and a lot of double bluffs going on in it. Super fun. You should read it. Totally. The next one I read for RYBSATs, I was really kind of hesitant to read, I'll be honest, because I've heard a lot of very, 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 very mixed reviews on Goodreads, on BookTube, on Bookstagram, on Twitter, and it's just like people on this book really fall into 2 camps. Either they absolutely hate it or they absolutely love it, and there's no in between, and that always kind of freaks me out when that happens. So the book I'm talking about is, of course, Ruby Red by Kirsten Gear. to the really likes it camp. Now, there were a few parts I feel like it was kind of cumbersome and there was a lot of info, but because it was the first in a series, I'm actually giving it a little more leeway than it probably, had it been a standalone, would have gotten. The main reason is I really did enjoy the story. I liked the characters. I felt like there was a little bit of insta-love, but there wasn't that much, so that's good. Also, I don't know what it is with people who don't know in time travel you can't go back into your own timeline. That is like the main thing. I read like 3 time travel novels this month, and that every single main character was like, oh, we can go back to my main timeline. No, you can't. You do that, you're gonna pull a Doc Brown on you. Not good. So, but I really did like this. I am kind of anxiously starting Sapphire Blue and seeing how that goes. But I do also think it helps to have your expectations set pretty low for this series. I thought it was a cute read. I really enjoyed it. So it's definitely going to be one that I'm recommending to people. So we'll go with that. The next one that I read for RYBSATs was Radical by David Platt, Taking Back Your Faith from the American Dream. This one is literally what it says. It's radical, and it talks about taking Christianity outside of the 4 walls known as the church, and yeah, that's pretty much it. It got a 4.5. I've read this one before, but it was like in 2013 when I read it, so it's been a while. I can tell it's been a while because the highlighter's starting to go all fadey, weird, and stuff. So I do like that book, though. And the last book I read for RYBSATs, House of Hades by Rick Riordan. The 4th book, of course, in the Heroes of the Olympus series. Really, really liked this one. It got 4.75 stars for me, and I really enjoy this series. I think I like this series more than I like Percy Jackson and the Olympians, even though I love Percy Jackson and the Olympians, because this one has 7 points of view. So you have everybody's perspective, and I really, really like that. I think it's a very well done trait that he did for this series, because I think it would have been really hard to follow just Percy through this whole thing. I think that would have been really, really hard. So I really did like this. I'm going to see how many times I can say really. And like I said, you get 7 demigods point of view. So you get Hazel, Leo, Frank, Jason, Annabeth, Percy, Piper. I'm like, who else haven't I named? But I really enjoyed it. Although, I do have to say, if I had finished Mark of Athena, like when it first came out, and had waited for House of Hades, I would have been really angry at the cliffhanger. And that's all I'm going to say, except for the fact that Rick Riordan actually mentions the cliffhanger in his little dedication. Basically says, to my wonderful readers, sorry about that last cliffhanger. Well, no, not really. Ha 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 ha. Seriously, I love you guys. Yeah, he's a troll. Rick Riordan, what are you doing to me? So these books are the ones that I read for RYBSATs. It was really a good stretch of reading. I did have one that I tried to start, and that was The Life in Middlemarch, but it was really meh, and I set it down. I was like, nope, I'll read you later. Alright, so the rest of the books that I read for January, oh my goodness, look at all the books, look at the prettiness of the books, they're so pretty. Okay, so I am going to go on these ones from the lowest ranking up to the highest ranking, and I actually am missing 2 of those books that I read for the entire month. The first one is The Chronicles of Narnia, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, the bind up. That one's in one of these boxes. I don't remember which one. And then the second one is The Only Pirate in the Party by Lindsay Sterling. And that one's actually being loaned out to a friend right now, so I don't have that with me. But The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, of course, is a 5-star because that is one of my favorites. And The Only Pirate at the Party, I actually ranked that one a 4-star because that was a really well... For me, biographies tend to go one of 2 ways. They're either really good or really boring. And Lindsay's was really interesting. I liked her voice. I liked her narrative style. I think the only reason I didn't put it at a 5 is because I wish it would have been longer. But it was really good. I really did enjoy learning about where she was and how she got to do it. And I love her music anyway, so yay, Lindsay. Good job, you. All right. So, on to my January reads. I read Chasing Francis by Ian Morgan Cron, and I rated this a 3-star. And the main reason I rated this a 3-star is because it's told on the back that it's a memoir. However, when you get to the end of this book, it's actually a fiction story. And sorry, my roommates are being loud. But basically, I was very disappointed in the fact that this portrayed itself as a memoir, and it really wasn't. I was also disappointed with the fact that I didn't like a lot of the storytelling. I felt like it was very dry, very disillusioned, and really wasn't connecting me. And that's, I actually think I might have put it as a 2.5, but I kind of rounded it up to be nice. But yeah, it wasn't worth it. The next one that I read was The Love That Split the World by Emily Henry. This is a debut novel. It actually just came out this month, I think. And I found this one interesting, and I'm kind of like I was with Illuminae, where I liked the story, but I'm not sure how I felt, and that's kind of how I feel on this one. I rated it a 3.75 on Goodreads, and I really did enjoy this book. Like, I felt like this book was a really well-written book. However, there were some points where I just didn't get it, and I also didn't feel the ending was very clear at all, and I'm not quite sure how I like that, because on contemporaries, I really do like the romance and the ending to go all together and be nice and pretty, and this one didn't feel like it ended correctly. So I don't know. I think I'll probably have to reread this later on and see how I feel. I did like the fact that the main girl character in this was a Native American. I thought that was a really nice diversity touch, because of all the stories that were in here were stories that tribes have used. So I did like that touch. I liked that. Like I said, it's kind of a mixed bag on that one. The next one that I read, I just realized I needed to grab these that were out of order. The next one I read was a reread of Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix by J.K. Rowling. I like this book. I thought year 5 was the year they get all angsty, but apparently it's year 6. So I haven't reread for year 6 yet, and I probably won't. I don't like year 6. But I did like this one. I love Luna. Love Neville. I love the Order. I love the Order. The Order is so fun. And this one gets a 4.5 stars. It actually went up from last time I read it. Last time I read it, I think it was like 3. Yeah. Like I said, I didn't grow up with Harry Potter like a lot of people did, so for me, I'm reading it as an adult, and there are a lot of things I wish you could change about Hogwarts. I might have to do like a video on that, because there's some things that I'm just like, why don't we have different points of view? So there's that. The next one that I finished for January was The Escape from Mr. Lemonchio's Library by Chris Gabenstein. This is a middle grade book, and it's basically set with 12 kids who enter and get to have a lock-in at the coolest library that was ever built, and then they find out that there's a grand prize and you have to figure out how to get out of the library. I really enjoyed this book. I know it's middle grade, but sometimes middle grade has pretty good books. Hi, Percy Jackson. So if you liked the Mysterious Benedict Society by T.L. Stewart, you probably will like this. Apparently there's another one out by him, but I really liked this. It has a lot of games and puzzles and ideas, and I gave this a 4.5 star, because I was just like, this is a really cute book, and it wasn't overly long. So it was like, let's see. Yeah, it was like barely 300 pages. So it, like I said, it's a middle grade, but it went really fast. I liked it. The next one I read, see, I didn't have them organized like that, was Breaking Free by Beth Moore. I gave this a 4.5 stars as well. I really enjoyed this one, but I hadn't read it in a long time. But it's a nonfiction basically about putting away the stuff that is holding you back, or letting go of the distractions, basically. So I really do enjoy this. I love Mama Beth. I think she's an amazing person. My hair's being all weird. But I do love her books, but that was just one. It was 4.5. I was like, I'll read this. The next one that I read was Persuasion by Jane Austen. 5-star. Absolutely 5-star. I love this book. This and Pride and Prejudice are two of my favorite Austens. I just love the romance in this. I love the slowly unfolding romance. Super good. You should pick it up. The next one I read was Doctor Who Time Lord Fairy Tales by, of course, Doctor Who. By the Doctor, of course. I loved this. It's like 14 or 15 small stories, and it's the stories that we've grown up with, you know, the Grimm brothers and the Hans Christian Andersen, but it has Time Lord twists on it. So like, instead of the 3 little pigs, you've got the 3 little Solitarians, you've got Frozen Beauty, you've got the Gingerbread Trap, you've got Hannah and the Beast, you've got Abnina and the Forced Levine, you've got the 3 brothers Gruff. I mean, you just got a lot of really great stories in here, and I really liked it, and it was a 5-star for me. I could be the aunt that will read this to their kids instead of the regular one. All right, the next one that I read, we're nearing the end, guys, was A Darker Shade of Magic by V.E. Schwab. I loved this book. Now, a lot of you know that I read Vicious last year, and that was my first touch with V.E. Schwab, and I really liked Vicious. This one is better than Vicious. I absolutely adored it. It's got a glare. I'm so sorry. I'm trying not to glare it. But yeah, I fell in love with this world. It basically deals with Kel, who can travel between worlds, and Delilah, who's known as Lila, who is a pirate slash thief, and it's so much fun. I loved this book like a lot. And A Gathering of Shadows, which is the sequel to this, is coming out this month. So I'm super excited that I read this in December, because now I'm like ready for this one. Or I read this in January. Sorry. I read this in January. Got it for December for Christmas. Read this in January. I'm super excited for A Gathering of Shadows. I can't wait. I'll probably like read that one too and then maybe compare them. But this one was good. I loved this one. And also because it has more of a it had more of like a morality, a good or bad. Like there wasn't like a mix like in Vicious where you weren't sure who you were actually rooting for. In this one you kind of had a clear, yes, I'm rooting for that person, they're good. Woo! Alright, and my last one that I read is so good. Oh my goodness. I have to do an actual review on this book because so good. Okay. Passenger by Alexandra Bracken. Look at how pretty it is, guys. Okay, so the cover looks like this, but then if you take off the dust jacket, look. So pretty. I love it. And then it's got these little like, look how pretty, guys. It's just, oh, it's so pretty. This is a 5-star book for me. I absolutely love this book. This book was like a really awesome dessert that you want to take your time and finish. And so instead of me going through it and getting it pretty much in like one go, I took my time. It took me over a week and a half to finish this book, which is really rare. And I loved it. I did not know that Alexandra Bracken is actually the person who wrote the Darkest Minds trilogy, so now I've got to get into that because this book was so awesome, guys. It was so awesome. Like I said, I'm going to be doing an actual book review of this one sometime this month, simply so I don't just say it was awesome. I actually have reasoning. So the only thing I didn't like in this book was the fact that there was insta-love, and it was pretty quick insta-love, like even quicker than what I'm used to in YA. And the only reason I like that didn't even rank with my rating because I kind of expected it because of how fast-paced it was moving. So I kind of did actually expect a little bit of insta-love, and I still gave it a 5-star because it was awesome. It was so good. Oh, guys, you need to read this book. Like, now. Like, go buy that book. Also, it debuted at #1, which is really rare for a YA book, if you didn't know. I didn't know that. I was looking at it and I was like, oh my goodness, that is really rare for a YA book to debut at #1. All right, so can we see them all? These are all the books I read in January, minus the 2 that obviously I don't have right now. But anyway, guys, I hope you have an awesome night. I hope you had a fantastic time reading, and keep reading right now, you awesome dragons, you. Bye!